Once you start creating content on a consistent basis, one of the things you're going to want to think through is where do you plan to distribute this content? You see, there's a mistake that a lot of content creating newbies make, and it's that they create content for one platform and then they're done. When in reality, if you're already creating this content, it's not that hard to be able to put it on other platforms. Yes, it's going to take thinking through your content in advance and doing some planning. It's going to take understanding the different platforms you're putting it on and the technical specs and the best practices and all those little tidbits for each platform. But if you do that, it will help you to be able to create content once that you can distribute and put on multiple different platforms. Now, what I've done is create a resource that I've linked in the comments below that will kind of walk you through this process and give you a checklist to help you to think multi-platform with the content that you're creating. But basically, it's broken down into 5 main tips. And the first one is this: know what platforms you're going to distribute on, because that's going to really determine the style of content you create, the format that you create. It's going to help determine what kind of deliverables you need and how you need to set everything up. So to kind of give you an example, this content mastery series we're doing, I have posted this content on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and then some days I took quotes from the videos and put them on my Instagram story or on my Instagram feed for my business page. Knowing what platforms you're going to put it on will help you to know what content to pull out of the content that you create. It'll also help you in crafting the content as well. You may have noticed, especially if you're watching this on LinkedIn, that I've kind of changed some of the phrasing that I've normally used. I'm not addressing you in this video as though you are on LinkedIn, because there are people consuming this video that are not on LinkedIn, that are not connected to me on LinkedIn, and will probably never see this on LinkedIn. So I've been saying things like LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube or wherever you're consuming this content, because I know that there are people who are going to consume this that are not on just one platform. It changes how you rephrase it. Tip number 2, list out the deliverables that you need. So whatever platforms you're going to put this on, list out exactly what you need. So for this series, I listed out that I need a video for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for YouTube. I needed an Instagram story image that I could put a quote on. I needed an Instagram feed image, more of a square one that I could put on my Instagram feed for my Reach 36 page. If you're going to do a blog post, write that down. If you're going to maybe do 1-minute clips of this and put on TikTok or Snapchat or your Instagram story, list out all the deliverables you need, because then when you see that list, it is easier to think through how to create this content to best fit on more platforms. Tip number 3, know the technical specs. So every platform is different in the technical specs they require. Now, in the resource that I've linked below, I've gone ahead and put the resource that I did 2 weeks ago with all the information and the technical specs for every platform. That is in the resource below, so that you kind of have it all together as you're thinking multi-platform. But know those technical specs, because it will determine how you create your content. To give you an example, now I didn't do it for this series, but I've done this in the past where I have taken the video that I've done for LinkedIn and I've also done one on my Instagram TV. Now, LinkedIn requires a horizontally oriented video and Instagram TV requires a vertically oriented video. Knowing that, you have a few options. You can either shoot the video twice, which sometimes I've done that. You can use 2 devices, where I've done my DSLR camera in the horizontal orientation and I've done my cell phone right next to it in the vertical orientation. That way I only have to shoot the video once and I have it for both platforms. Or if you only have one camera, what you can do is set it up to shoot horizontally and then just stand further back so you've got space that you can trim and do the video vertically. So knowing those technical specs will help you to create the content once and then just edit or trim, or you have 2 separate videos. It makes it easier. Tip number 4, determine which content you want to create first. And this is vitally important, because what I always recommend is start with the longest content, start with the hardest content, or start with the content that has some time constraints. So with this series, because I've put it on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, I created the video first for LinkedIn. Because Facebook and YouTube, I could talk for hours and it's gonna still upload and be okay. LinkedIn, I have 10 minutes. So it's still longer, but it's not the most long I could do. It's a little bit constrained, but it's still longer than just doing a 1-minute clip to put in my Instagram story. So think through what you're gonna create first. And again, I always recommend creating the biggest piece of content first, because then it's easier to pull from it to do the smaller content. Tip number 5, think through what you need to make this process easier. So what I mean by that is maybe there are some templates that you need to create in advance to streamline this process. So when I do quotes on Instagram or in my Instagram story, I already have templates set up that I just have to copy and paste the quote into there and export it, and I'm done and it's ready to upload. That makes it super easy. Or you can use platforms like Canva, which has the templates already that you just plug in your text and export it and you're done. So think through some of those deliverables. You may have noticed on these videos, I've had some ending screens that kind of have my little logo and the website to see all this content. If you want to do that, think through that and get that done in advance, so then it's just super easy and fast to kick out this content for multiple platforms. So went a little bit longer today, but I hope that helps. As I said earlier, there is a resource linked in the comments below to help you to think multi-platform with your content. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below or shoot me a message. I am more than happy to help you. And if you are someone who is producing content for multiple different platforms, I'd love to know what your tips are. What else? What did I miss? What else would you add? Leave those in the comments below so we can get better at producing content for multiple platforms. And until tomorrow, when I have another great tip for you, I hope you all have a great day.